everyone. So today we're going to be talking about how to add polynomials. And if you remember, polynomials are just mathematical expressions with more than two terms. So anything with variables and exponents, and that's considered a term. So when I have multiple terms in a row with pluses and minuses in between, that is considered a polynomial. So when we add polynomials, the easiest thing to do is just to combine like terms. Let's go through some examples. So the first example is 5x squared plus 4 plus 3 minus 2x squared. So as you can see, we have parentheses around each polynomial. So this is considered a polynomial, and then this is considered a polynomial. We just put the parentheses around them just to separate them, and so you can understand we have two different polynomials that we're going to add together. When we add them together, we don't actually need the parentheses because adding doesn't switch the signs. We're going to talk in the next video, we'll talk about subtracting polynomials, and that's when the parentheses are going to become really important. But for now, when we add polynomials, the first step is just to get rid of the parentheses so it's a little bit easier to read. So I'm just going to rewrite it without the parentheses. All right. Now that we don't have the parentheses, it's a little bit easier to kind of see which ones are the like terms. And like terms are anything that has the same variable and the same exponent. So for example, the 5x squared and the 2x squared are considered like terms because they both have an x squared on them. And what we're going to do is combine those like terms. So when I combine them, I'm just going to add the numbers in front of those x squareds together. So we have a 5 and a -2, and 5 and -2, or 5 minus 2, gives me 3. Because the 5 and the 2 had the x squareds on them, we just write x squared on the back of this 3, just because that's the like term we were adding. And then the other like terms are this 4 and 3. And the reason why these are considered like terms are because they don't have x's, they don't have any exponents, and so because they both don't have any of that stuff, they're considered like terms. And once again, we're going to add the 4 and the 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. And this is my answer, 3x squared plus 7. Now, a couple of things. Notice that I underline them different ways. That's just a trick that I use. You can use it too to notice or to see which ones are like terms. So I underline the x squareds with a double line, and I underline the things without the x squareds with a squiggly line. Totally up to you, but sometimes that makes it easier to see the like terms before you add them together. The other thing that I want to talk to you about is in your self-check, it asks you to write your answer in what's called standard form. Standard form says that the highest exponent comes first and the lowest exponent comes last. So as you can see, we put the x squared first and then the thing without the x squared last in our answer. In some more examples, we're going to have multiple terms, and so you just want to make sure they're in order from from the greatest exponent to the least exponent. All right, let's go through another example. All right, and this one is 3x minus 6x to the 4th. All right, once again, we're just going to take away the parentheses. And in fact, I'm going to just erase them because we don't need them when we're adding polynomials. Now we're going to underline our like terms and then combine them. Automatically, I see that I have a 3x and a -2x. Those are considered like terms. And then I have a -6x to the 4th and a 5x to the 5th. These are not considered like terms. The reason why is because they have different exponents. So I can't add them together, and that's okay. That just means that we have to rewrite them in our answer because we're not changing them. We're just writing them all together. So once again, we're going to start with standard and standard form. So standard form says that we need the highest exponent first, which is this 5x to the 5th. So I'm just going to rewrite 5x to the 5th because that one, like I said, didn't have any like terms. Then the next highest exponent is this -6x to the 4th. Once again, it doesn't have any like terms, so I'm just going to rewrite it -6x to the 4th. And then the two like terms that we do have are the 3x and the negative 2x. So we're going to add those together. 3 minus 2, or 3 plus negative 2 is a 1. So I can say plus 1x. And the reason why I put the x on there is because the 3 and the 2 had x. So we just kind of have to keep that same variable in exponent. And this is my answer in standard form. All right, let's go through another example. All right, once again, we're going to take away those parentheses because we don't need them when we add polynomials. Okay, the next step is to underline our like terms. So let's see, I see a 9x squared and a negative 11x squared. I also see a 1 and a negative 3. Now I have this 8x and the 7x cubed, and those ones aren't like terms, so we don't underline them. There aren't anything, there's not something, another thing with an x cubed, there's not something with another x, so we just are going to leave those there. When we write our answer, we want to start with our highest exponent first, and our highest exponent is that 7x cubed, so I'm just going to rewrite 7x cubed. Then the next one would be x squared, and that one we do have some like terms. So we have a 9x squared and a negative 11x squared. So we're going to do 9 minus 11, which gives us a negative 2, and then we just tack on that x squared at the end. And then the next one would be anything with just x's, which is that 8x that doesn't have any like terms, so we just rewrite 8x. Then the very last thing is the thing without any x's, and so we've got a 1 and a negative 3, and 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And there we have it, that's our answer. All right, let's go through one more example. This example is going to have 3 chunks to it, so I'm going to try and write it a little bit smaller. All right, so start off, no parentheses. Now, let's underline our like terms. I see a 4x to the 6th and a negative 3x to the 6th. What else do I see? Oh, I see some x's, so I've got a negative 5x, I've got a 2x, and I've got a negative 4x. And then I see a 1, so let's do a triple underline, and a 3. All right, and I think that's all the like terms that we have, because the only things I didn't underline were x cubed and x squared, but there are no other x cubes or x squareds. So once again, when we write our answer, we have to do it in standard form. So we're going to start with the highest exponent. In this case, the highest exponent is x to the 6th. So we've got 2 of those. We've got a 4x to the 6th and a negative 3x to the 6th. When I add those together, that's 4 minus 3, which is 1x to the 6th. Then the next highest exponent looks like it's x cubed, which is that 5x cubed. There's no like term, so we just rewrite 5x cubed. The next one would be x squared, which is the negative 7x squared. There's no like terms on there, so we just rewrite negative 7x squared. Notice that the sign came with it. When you have a negative, like the signs will always come with it unless you're combining like terms. The next one is just x's, which we have a couple of them. We have a negative 5x and a negative 4x. So negative 5 and negative 4 make negative 9, and we just tack the x onto it. And then the last thing is anything without any variables, which is 1 and 3, and 1 plus 3 is 4. And this is my final answer. So there we have it, how to add polynomials.